Bonnie bags Malaysia's second gold medal in Paris. New York judge delays Trump's hush money sentencing until after US election. Good afternoon, Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Jessica Lee. You're watching World Today. Now, starting off our news this afternoon on a high note, the national powerlifting champion Bonnie Bunyao Gustin claims Malaysia's second gold at the Paris 2024 Paralympics. The Sarawakian cemented his status as the world's best in the men's up to 72 kilograms category by successfully defending his gold medal and created a new world record on his final attempt at the Porte de la Chapelle Arena.
Bonnie's dominance was evident early on as he secured his goal with an initial lift of 221 kilograms, comfortably outstripping his nearest competitor, Italy's Donato Telesca, who lifted 209 kilograms in his first attempt. The 25-year-old, who has dwarfism, made his second attempt with ease, lifting 226 kilograms and finished with a final lift of 232 kilograms to seal his victory. The 232-kilogram lift also set a new Paralympic Games record for Bonnie, surpassing his previous mark of 228 kilograms set at Tokyo 2020. Now, Hu Peng from China claimed silver with a final lift of 214 kilograms, while Telesca settled for bronze with a 213 kilograms lift in his second attempt.
The Thailand's King Maha Vajiralongkorn sworn in Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra and 35 cabinet ministers in Bangkok on Friday, ushering in a new government in Southeast Asia's second largest economy after a period of political turmoil.
Paetongtarn, 38, leader of the ruling Pure Thai Party, was elected by Parliament last month to become Thailand's youngest Prime Minister after her predecessor, Setta Thavisin, was dismissed by a court order over an ethics violation. Dressed in official uniform, Paetongtarn and her cabinet ministers swore their allegiance in front of King Vajiralongkorn and Queen Suthida in a ceremony at Bangkok's Dusit Palace. The youngest daughter of the divisive former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, Paetongtarn has not served in government previously and will face challenges on multiple fronts, including a floundering economy. She's also the second woman and fourth member of the Shinawatra clan to hold Thailand's top elected position, with 3 previous premiers removed by coups or court decisions.
A New York judge on Friday delayed former United States President Donald Trump's sentencing on charges stemming from hush money paid to an adult actress until after the 5th November election. Now, Trump, the Republican nominee for president, had previously been scheduled to be sentenced on the 18th of September, less than 2 months before the election.
He asked Justice Juan Merchan to push back his sentencing date until after the vote. Now, Merchan said on Friday he now planned to sentence Trump on 26th of November unless the case is dismissed before then. The Supreme Court's 6-3 ruling, which related to a separate criminal case Trump faces, found that presidents cannot be criminally prosecuted for their official acts, and that evidence of presidents' official actions cannot be used to help prove criminal cases involving unofficial actions. Now, prosecutors with Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office argued their case involved Trump's personal conduct, not official acts, so that there was no reason to overturn the verdict. Now, if Trump wins the White House, he could potentially order the Department of Justice to drop federal election interference charges against him.
The Indian migrants were deported on Friday from Panama in the country's first intercontinental repatriation flight financed by the United States. The program is part of an agreement between the two countries to discourage irregular crossings and reduce the flow of mostly US-bound migration.
The flight departed from the Panama Oeste province, where Panamanian officials frisked migrants before boarding the plane bound for Delhi. According to local media, a total of 130 people were repatriated. According to the National Migration Service Director, Roger Mojica, over 240,000 migrants arrived in Panama through the dangerous Darien Gap at the Colombian border. The number of migrants entering Panama has dropped by 30% since President Jose Raúl Mulino took office.
A lo que va la fecha, el día de hoy van más de 240,000 personas que han ingresado por la frontera con Colombia. Con las medidas que se ha ido tomando desde a partir del 1 de julio hemos visto una disminución de un 29 a 30%, que es lo que está. ¿Para este año aumentará o se mantendrá igual? Esperemos mantener la cifra, pero no descartamos la posibilidad, dependiendo de la situación interna que se dé en los países vecinos, pudiéramos observar algún tipo de incremento.
South Korea and Japan will maintain their readiness to stop North Korea from hiding behind Russia in its provocative acts. Kim Tae-hyo, South Korea's Deputy National Security Advisor, said this after South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida held a summit in Seoul earlier on Friday.
Kishida told Yoon that the importance of bilateral ties will not change regardless of who succeeded as Japan's next leader, and pledged to help maintain the momentum even after leaving office. Now, both welcomed the signing of an agreement to facilitate the evacuation of each other's citizens from an emergency in a third country, which Kishida called a symbol of growing trust. Yoon also called for sustaining the positive momentum of cooperation built by the two leaders, saying next year could provide a turning point for the relationship to take a leap forward, marking its 60th anniversary. Kishida has announced that he will step down in September, and Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party will hold elections on the 27th of September to choose his successor.
Indonesia, the United States and other countries conducted a live fire exercise on Friday in Situ Bondo, East Java province, involving hundreds of personnel from various participating countries. The Combined Arms Live Firing Exercise, or CALFEX, was the highlight of the Super Garuda Shield, or the SGS 2024 joint exercise, which involved Japan, the United Kingdom, Australia, France, Canada, Singapore, Thailand, South Korea, and New Zealand. The 2024 event is the 18th since it was first held in 2009 in Bandung, West Java. The joint exercise was originally initiated by the Indonesian and U.S. military forces with the aim of strengthening relations between the two countries and promoting regional security. The drill began with integrated fire for pre-attack to facilitate an invasion, breakthrough and capture of enemy targets by troops before infantry troops secured targets that have been controlled and carried out clearance of enemy territory, and ended with securing a helicopter landing zone. Now, the exercise comes amid U.S. efforts to ease tensions between the two world powers ahead of November's U.S. election, after the country's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, met Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing in late August. A 14-year-old boy accused of shooting 4 people dead at a U.S. high school, and his father, who allegedly bought him the gun for Christmas, appeared in court on Friday to face murder charges. Now, lawyers for Colt Gray, a freshman at the Appalachian High School in Winder, Georgia, and his father, Colin Gray, 54, declined to seek bond, and they were ordered to remain in custody.
Mr. Colt Gray. My name's Curry.
Judge Curry Mingledorf read out the charges to the boy, where he is liable to the maximum penalty of life in prison without parole. Gray is charged with shooting dead 2 fellow students, also aged 14, and 2 teachers at his high school on Wednesday, with 9 other people, most of them children, were wounded. Gray's father appeared before the same judge shortly afterwards. He is facing involuntary manslaughter and second-degree murder charges. According to U.S. media reports, the elder Gray bought the gun used in the shooting, an AR-15 style assault rifle, for his son as a gift last Christmas. Georgia Bureau of Investigation Director Chris Hosey and the father had knowingly allowed his troubled son to possess a weapon. Now, earlier this year, the parents of another teenage school shooter were convicted of manslaughter charges, but Colin Gray is believed to be the first parent to be charged with murder over a shooting carried out by their child.
Now, a deadly road accident in northern India's Uttar Pradesh resulted in the tragic deaths of at least 12 individuals, including 4 children, on Friday. Now, several others suffered injuries in the incident, and they are said to be in critical condition.
According to police reports, the victims were returning from Mukunkera village in a mini truck when the bus collided with their vehicle, causing it to crash into an additional truck. Now, the accident occurred when the bus hit the van while trying to overtake it on the Agra-Aligarh National Highway. The passengers in the bus were on their way to Agra, while those on the mini truck were returning to the Sawala village after having lunch. A compensation of 200,000 rupees were announced to be given to each of the families of those who died in the accident and 50,000 rupees to each of those severely injured. Fatal road accidents are frequent in India, largely due to the widespread disregard for traffic regulations and below standard road conditions prevalent in many areas.
A fire raged through the dormitory of a boarding school for young children in central Kenya in the early hours of Friday, killing 17 boys sleeping there. According to the police, the incident also left 14 more children injured.
The blaze occurred at the Hillside Endarasha Academy in Nyeri, a primary boarding school for young students. Government spokesperson Isaac Muara said boys were in grades 4 to 8, putting their ages at about 9 to 13 years old. He said in a statement that the dormitory housed a total of 156 students and the cause of the fire was not immediately clear. Now, Kenya has an extensive history of school fires, many of which have turned out to be arson. Now, 9 students were killed in 2017 September in a fire at a school in the capital Nairobi that the government attributed to arson. In 2001, 58 schoolboys were killed in the dormitory fire at Kianguli Secondary School outside Nairobi. In 2012, 8 students were killed at a school in Homa Bay County in western Kenya.
Now, Asia's strongest storm this year, Super Typhoon Yagi, made landfall along the coast of China's Hainan province on Friday, bringing gales and heavy rain, which shut schools for a second day and cancelled flights in the South China Sea region. Now, after more than doubling in strength since killing 16 people in North Philippines earlier this week, Yagi slammed into the city of Wenchang on Hainan Island.
Packing maximum sustained winds of 234 kilometers per hour near its center, Yagi registers as the world's second most powerful tropical cyclone in 2024 so far, after the Category 5 Atlantic Hurricane Beryl and the most severe in the Pacific Basin this year. The Yagi is the most severe storm to land in Hainan since 2014, when Typhoon Ramasun slammed into the island province as a Category 5 tropical cyclone. Ramasun killed 88 people in Hainan, Guangdong, Guangxi and Yunnan and caused economic losses of more than 44 billion yuan. The Yagi had earlier strengthened into a super typhoon on Wednesday night.
Up next in sports, Suarez bids farewell to international duty on a low note. Kicking off our sports segment today, Luis Suarez bade a frustrating farewell to international football on Friday as Uruguay were held to a goalless draw by Paraguay in South American 2026 World Cup qualifying match. Italian top seed Yannick Sinner took down ailing Briton Jack Draper 7-5, 7-6, 6-2 to reach the US Open final on Friday, overcoming muggy conditions at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Now, Sinner appeared to have suffered a wrist injury when he fell over in the second set, but rallied to reach his second major final after winning the Australian Open earlier this year.
In a grueling 3-hour match, Draper was eventually undone by 10 double faults and 43 unforced errors, as well as his illness. Now, world number 25 Draper arrived in his first Grand Slam semi-final, having only been broken 3 times in 5 rounds and not having dropped a set. However, Sinner started eating into that streak with a break for a 4-3 lead, quickly wiped out by the Briton. Now, Draper was broken again on the back of his 6th double fault in the 11th game before the Italian top seed served it out with a love game. In a dramatic second set, Draper vomited at the side of the court before Sinner then fell chasing a Draper shot, hurting his left wrist as he attempted to break his fall. Now, Sinner won that point, but Draper held serve for 5-4. Draper looked physically spent and was reduced to walking pace as the third set and match slipped away from him.
7-5, 7-6, 6-2.
Meanwhile, Ukraine's Lyudmila Kichenok became a Grand Slam champion at the US Open on Friday, just 2 days after cancelling her wedding. Kichenok, 32, teamed up with Latvia's Jelena Ostapenko to beat Kristina Mladenovic and Zhang Shuai 6-4, 6-3 in the women's doubles final. Facing Mladenovic and Zhang for the first time, Kichenok and Ostapenko stormed to a 4-1 lead early. A stunning backhand return from Ostapenko buoyed the team to their first break of serve. Mladenovic and Zhang were able to level the set at 4-all with Zhang's aggressive play at the net, but could not maintain their momentum. Now, in the longest game of the match, Kichenok and Ostapenko saved 5 break points to stop Mladenovic and Zhang's momentum and hold to 5-4. Serving to stay in the set, Mladenovic and Zhang held 1 game point but ultimately capitulated after Zhang double faulted on set point. Mladenovic and Zhang looked primed for a comeback after building a 3-1 lead in the second set, but Kichenok and Ostapenko kept the pressure on to win the last 5 games of the match. Ostapenko shrugged off any pressure as she stood to the line to serve out the win. On Wednesday, she had been planning to marry her boyfriend Stas Kirmaski, who is also Ostapenko's coach. But a run to the championship match for the 7th seeds meant the ceremony was temporarily shelved.
Let's take a look at motorsport. Estonian driver Ott Tänak led a Hyundai 123 on the first full day of the Acropolis Rally, the 10th event in the World Rally Championship, taking a 21.8 seconds lead over Danny Sordo on Friday. Now, World Championship leader Thierry Neuville was third, 45.2 seconds behind Tänak, with Sébastien Ogier slipping to fourth in his Toyota over 2 minutes back after turbo trouble late in the day.
As championship leader, Neuville had the awkward task of opening the dusty, rocky route to the first stage and lost 10 seconds to Ogier. But the Belgian battled back well enough to win stage 6, albeit by only 0.7 seconds ahead of Sordo. Ogier was leading the race after winning 3 of the first 4 stages. But the 8-time world champion hit mechanical problems on stage 5, which led to him crawling through the day's final stage. Welshman Elfyn Evans of Toyota was another to have a nightmare day, effectively kissing goodbye to his title hopes as he closed the day almost 10 minutes down. Another 6 tough stages followed on Saturday with 141 kilometers of testing Greek roads.
In cycling news, Primož Roglic grabbed back the lead in the Vuelta as he won the 19th stage following a ferocious attack on the final climb on Friday. The Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe rider had lost the red jersey on stage 6 when Ben O'Connor turned a long breakaway into a lead of more than 5 minutes.
Roglic chipped away at the lead on various mountain finishes and trailed the gritty Australian by only 5 seconds at the start of Friday's 173.2-kilometre ride through Rioja from Logroño. The leader started the closing 8.6 kilometres climb to the Alto de Moncalvillo together, but with 6 kilometres left, Roglic and 2 of his teammates blasted off the front. Danny Martinez set the initial pace. Alexander Vlasov briefly took over before their Slovenian team leader zoomed away from both. He crossed the line 46 seconds ahead of Frenchman David Gaudu and Dane Matthias Skelmos. O'Connor battled in 1 minute and 49 seconds behind as his 13-day reign in red came to an end. The bonus Roglic's gain for winning the stage means he leads O'Connor by 1 minute 54 seconds. Now, after his 15th Vuelta stage win, Roglic is 2 tough days away from a 4th Vuelta, which would equal the record for most victories held by Spaniard Roberto Heras.
Next in our offbeat segment, electrifying, frenzy and heartwarming stories await you. Stay with us.
Slimy green seaweed floats in water-filled beakers, buckets and bins in the University of Santiago's labs. Algae, which scientists in the Chilean capital are trying to turn into an efficient power source. Their field is biophotovoltaics, which uses a photosynthetic organism such as seaweed to convert light into electrical energy. The scientists spread the seaweed onto electrodes on biophotovoltaic panel similar to the solar pipe. Now, according to the project leader, Federico Tasca, algae use light to oxidize water, and in the process, they release electrons, adding that these can then be picked up in electric circuits with the oxygen released in the process, an added benefit. Now, similar projects before have used a microalgae, which are single-cell organisms, while seaweed is a macroalga or multicellular organism.
Las macroalgas son más robustas, son más fáciles de emplear, más fácil de cosechar. Entonces, esto hace sí que toda la operación de la creación del biofotopanel, de la construcción del biofotopanel, sea más simple.
He added that seaweed could be used in some cases where alternatives were not available, as it is a good system to feed energy to a light bulb to light up some LED.
Yo siempre he dicho que las algas o lo que está en el mar, en este caso lo fotosintético que está en el mar, como las macroalgas marinas, son como una caja, como un tesoro. Es como si hubiera un tesoro enterrado en el mar, pues está lleno de genes que no conocemos y de moléculas que no se conocen y que podrían tener unos usos de salud humana o, qué sé yo, de animales o moléculas con propiedades únicas.
Shanghai Museum's new exhibition of Egyptian antiquities has been Cat's Meow this summer, attracting hordes of visitors and a furry contingent of around 200 felines who come to prowl among the relics. In a unique tribute to the ancient Egyptian reverence for Bastet, often depicted as a woman with the head of a domestic cat and known to be a goddess of protection, the museum has pioneered an innovative exhibit experience in what it believes is a world first. Now, visitors are invited to bring their own feline companions to engage with the secrets of Saqqara display, fostering an immersive connection between modern cat lovers and the revered traditions of Egypt's past.
因 为我们这次展览其中有一个主题叫萨卡拉的秘密，这个中间呢，就埃及的考古队啊，在萨卡拉发现了猫神庙，那么出土了很多的猫的木乃伊和猫的那个雕像。那么在策划这个展览的时候啊，我们把它作为一个主题啊，而且占了非常大的篇幅，所以我们觉得啊，我们在策划活动的时候，我们把猫作为一个主题，所以我有了这个奇妙夜。
The initiative has been wildly popular, with tickets for cats and humans selling out quickly. Now, cat visitors are checked on their way into the museum to ensure their vaccinations are up to date and for any signs of illness or stress. Veterinarians are also on site for any emergencies, and rest areas are set up for cats to get some quiet time if the stimulation from their night out at the museum gets a bit too much.
Sukan Paralympic Paris 2024. Laporan harian pagi sepanjang 30 Ogos hingga 8 September 1 pagi. Laporan harian petang sepanjang 29 Ogos hingga 8 September 3 petang. Laporan harian malam sepanjang 29 Ogos hingga 8 September 9 malam. Dan sorotan harian sepanjang 29 Ogos hingga 9 September 10 pagi di saluran OK dan saluran sukan RTM. Saksikan juga secara penstreaman langsung di RTM Click.
And that wraps up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story, Bonnie bags second gold medal for Malaysia in Paris, cementing his status as the world's best. Do join us again this evening for more on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM at 8:30 p.m. You can always stream us live on RTM's Click website and mobile app. I'm Jessica Lee, Malaysia Madani, Jiwa Merdeka. Have a pleasant weekend.